White House side. So, joining us now for the first time here, Senator Mike Braun, Republican from Indiana, who won his seat from Democrat Joe Donnelly in November. He sits on a bunch of committees, including budget, agriculture, health as well. Senator, thank you for coming on.
Good to be here.
Lots to get to, so let me start with that there. Do you really think it's fair for the president to say he's winning on all these fronts when he is facing some serious setbacks on the issues we just talked about?
So, I'd say it's a question of style, and we know what his is. I always tried to be a little understated so that when things did happen better than what you said.
That's not his style.
No. So that's what you got to get used to. And clearly that's going to be the same because that's what got him there in the first place. I think that when you do tout stuff in that fashion, it's a little harder to talk about things when they don't occur at the rate you'd like to see them. The only thing I'd remind everyone is that when it came to these issues, and the one reason I really ran is, think about it, we weren't knocking it out of the park on any of that stuff before President Trump got there, and our economy certainly wasn't doing what it is now. And I'll argue all night long that with what we did with tax reform, that's put us in a good place in our economy.
Okay, setting aside the economy, because as you know, some of those trends did start well before President Trump was in office with the pickup. But economy, we did say, is something that the president has touted as when the economy's on solid footing. Immigration's a bit of a different story here. And in your own party, there are divisions related to this declaration of a national emergency. 4 of your colleagues in the Senate on the Republican side have come out and said they would support that resolution to block the national emergency declaration. There's 15 others who are undecided, who are still on the fence on this thing.
In my opinion,
you think there's going to, where are you on this?
So there's nothing here that's a pure issue whenever you vote. So let's go back to when the government shut down and when we reopened it. So that was due to border security as an issue. We didn't want government shutdowns. I think it's crazy to do that in the first place. And it was about an appropriations bill finally getting done. I actually voted against it.
Very early, there's a clean bill that you're going to vote on. But in this instance, this is a vote to block.
Well, but it's, to me, the president ran on border security, and that's been so confusing. We haven't had it. He got very little of it through. And the the emergency declaration, to me, since we had just gone through it, I didn't like the fact that we did it. But I look at the essence of what we're talking about to begin with. I don't think we're putting enough resources down there, whether it's smart technology or barriers. So I'm going to stick with the president on this one because I think it's mostly about border security and not the philosophical argument about the declaration.
You think that more than 4 of your Republican colleagues will end up voting the other way? Do you think it's going to end up being veto?
I think so.
Do you think it's going to be that much of a number?
No, I would be almost absolutely certain that there will be a veto and it will not be overridden.
So is Mitch McConnell doing enough, in your view, to get Republicans in line?
I think from the discussions we have, which are lively ones every lunch, there was enough disparate views there that he was going to let it kind of go with the flow. And I think he advised the president that he thought an emergency declaration wasn't good, but he was sticking with him on that if he chose to do it.
The president has potentially a summit coming up with President Xi of China later in the month. We're probably headed down to Florida for that. Obviously, this is a big issue for farmers in Indiana and elsewhere. Do you think they have been hurt just definitively by this trade war? Is it time to end the trade war? And is that what you're telling the president?
So, when it started, I thought the whole process, when you took on Mexico, Canada, our friends in Europe, a lot of inequities built into those relationships over the years. Mostly ones we condoned because we tried to rebuild the economies coming out of World War II and really through the present. So, and I think that's been a better situation for businesses here, especially the world. When it comes to China, who's had a lot of it's gotten a lot of slack cut to them because they were an emerging economy. They are on the precipice of becoming very difficult to deal with, and I thought the timing to take it all on was good. But if it doesn't work, I think you got to revise what you do.
Seems like it's not working if you talk to farmers in your neck of the woods. So should the president stop?
Now, in talking to farmers in my neck of the woods, they like what Trump is doing in general about holding the Chinese accountable. Of course, the Chinese are smart. They picked Trump's biggest support group that's in an economy that's already hurting. That's the nature of how things work.
Before I let you go, I got to ask you about the news of the day, what we started the show in, this issue of Michael Cohen and this pardon issue. You are a member of Congress. Do you believe Michael Cohen misled Congress on this issue?
Hey, with him, I don't know what to believe. So when it comes to what he says currently, I think his credibility is very small. And, you know, I think if you listen to him and listen to the particularities of it, I'd feel uncomfortable making any statement about him because there's been such a swirl of discussion. You know, I don't know what the truth is and what isn't.
Sounds like you're saying you do feel like you have been misled.
I mean, I think that Michael Cohen is in a tough spot, and I just don't know what to believe when he says anything.
All right, Senator Mike Braun, thank you for coming on set. Hope to have you back. I do want to talk with you eventually about your prescription drug price bill.
I'd like to talk about that.
Yep,